You have questions?
What is slashing?
We have answers.
Slashing is, like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. And, there's a penalty for that?
Yeah. You do that, you go to the box, 2 minutes by yourself, and you feel shame, and then you get free.
This is CBJ in 30.
Anything you folks want to know about the fascinating world of pro hockey, here we go.
Tweet your questions by using the hashtag CBJIN30.
We'd like to remind you folks, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
Here's your host, Bob McElligott.
Welcome to Toronto, where the Blue Jackets get set to take on the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight and wrap up their 4-game road trip. Here's where I went last night. You get a look inside the NHL Situation Room, a.k.a. the War Room, where they do all of the reviewing of every goal that is scored in the National Hockey League every night. And that is honestly the truth. It is every goal, every night. That is exactly what they do. And we got a chance to go in there last night. I've got more for you on that coming up in the next couple of minutes. But welcome to CBJ in 30 for this Friday, January the 9th. I am Bob McElligott. I am taking your questions. And all you have to do is send them to me by tweeting them at BobbyMacSports with the hashtag CBJ in 30. It was exciting last night. I know you probably don't get very excited when I talk about the War Room, the Situation Room, because the situation is this. There is not... Well, I don't think there's any Blue Jackets fan that's a big fan of what goes on in the Situation Room. And I'm just as guilty as you. There's no doubt about it. I'm just as guilty. I watch these replays at times, and I don't understand how they came up with what they came up with. Let me rephrase that. I didn't understand how they came up with what they came up with before going over there last night for about a period and a half, period and 3/4 of the early games and watching exactly what went on in the Situation Room. It is borderline fascinating, to be honest with you. It's not many people. There were maybe, 10 people that were around last night. But every game is assigned to a specific person. And that person sits down in front of their station. And their station consists of 4 monitors. And going from left to right, because that's what normal people do. So it's a wonder I didn't go right to left. Going from left to right, here are the way that the monitors lay out for you. On the very left, there's a monitor that can be split into 4 different shots. 2 of those shots being the overhead camera looking at the goal from above. The other 2 shots, I think they can vary the other 2 shots that they want to take. But they can have a split screen with 4 different shots on one monitor. On the second monitor, they will have the visiting team feed. The actual television feed that is going out to the audience, they will have the visiting team feed on this monitor. Monitor 3 will have the home team feed. And then monitor number 4 is used as a quick review monitor, a.k.a., not a.k.a., that's not the right term, but let's just say, for example, that's what I'm trying to say, i.e., a.k.a., i.e., whole bunch of letters, use them correctly, and it'll make more sense. But the fourth one, what they do is they basically have that one on the DVR. So if there's a hit or if there's a questionable goal or whatever, and if they want to look at it again immediately, not waiting for the television replays, all they have to do is hit that 10-second back button. Takes that, whatever they're watching, back 10 seconds, replays it. They can look at it again. And then the TV feeds start to do their replays, and then they can get a more in-depth look. But they can look, before the TV starts doing its replays, they can look at it again. They can watch it, what just happened, at full speed, and start right there. But here was the fascinating part of it. So you have a different guy sitting at a different station for different games. And these guys they're talking to us while we were in there. I was talking to Kay Whitmore, who is a former NHL goalie who played in Hartford and Boston, just amongst a list of NHL teams that he played for in his career. He also played with Todd Richards in the minor leagues in Springfield. So I was talking with him, and we were watching the Capitals-Flyers game. Capitals-Flyers game. So I'm talking to him, and we're holding a regular conversation. He's sitting there, and he's looking at the screens, and it's just like when you're sitting in your living room with a buddy on the couch, and you're talking, and The only difference was the minute something would happen, he was on it. Like right now. Mike Murphy runs the Situation Room, and he's there. He's kind of on top, on the bridge, if you will, looking at the front wall that has screens that have every game going on. In addition to these workstations, there's a whole wall of screens from the games that are going on. So Mike Murphy is up there, and he's kind of watching everything as it goes. But I'm talking with Kay Whitmore, and the moment a puck goes in the net, he's watching this, and he yells immediately, "That's a good goal, Murph." And it was, I forget who scored on Braden Holtby early in that game yesterday, but he immediately, he knew it was good. There was going to be no problem with it, but they go back and they look at it anyway. And the only thing he saw when he looked at it was that Holtby actually got a little piece of the puck. There was one angle that showed that he got a piece of the puck, but it still went off his body and went in. Nothing illegal about the goal whatsoever. But I was fascinated how he's holding a conversation and still watching this with such precision to pick it up just like that. There was a hit in that game. Grossman got hit by Tom Wilson, got checked into the glass. And they're looking for those as well. They're looking for hits. They're looking for questionable officiating calls. They document all of that stuff. So Grossman gets hit. It's not really a good shot. He backed it up on the DVR. It wasn't a good shot because it was a little bit away from the play, so the camera's focusing on the puck behind the net, and the hit comes over in the corner. So as the camera swings, you see the tail end of the hit. But they went back and looked at it. You know, you could see very clearly it was a clean hit. It was nothing illegal about it. But if it would have been questionable, they would have made a note of it. And then at the end of the game, that note goes on a report, and all of that goes off to the NHL offices. It gets distributed to whoever needs to have it. They probably get it in their inbox before they go to sleep at night, as a matter of fact. So that's it was a really fascinating trip. Now, Dave Metzold from Fox Sports Ohio is putting together a little package that he's going to air in an upcoming Blue Jackets game about the trip to the War Room. And he talked with Mike Murphy last night, and I was privy to kind of, listening in, if you will. You know how this show is. It's very raw. I'm not carrying a camera with me and setting up lighting and everything, but they did. So I was able to literally peek over Dave's shoulder and get that interview, or get most of that interview for you. I wanted to run it for you this morning. So I know you're thinking right now that I've been a turncoat and I'm now siding with the National Hockey League officials, and I'm just trying to pump your tires about how great they are. That's not the case at all. I'm just like you, who have sat in that chair, and I told these guys this. It's very easy when you're at the game and you're invested in what's going on and you feel like your team's getting screwed over and over and over again. It's very tough. It's easy to criticize. But if you step behind the curtain and you see the process, you can understand that even though you're not going to like every call, you understand what they're going through there. So here's what Mike had to say about just the job overall of the Situation Room.
Quickly, as you can describe it, your job here, number one job is what? Accuracy, would you say?
Well, I think more quality control would be a better description. I think what we do here is the most important thing we do is review all the goals and make sure the goals are scored legally, and if they're not, make sure they're taken down. But I do think a big part of the job in here is making sure all things throughout the league are happening correctly. Are the officials operating fine? Is the building operating fine? Is there equipment out there that's dangerous? On and on and on. Those type of things we're looking for, and every night our guys sit down and focus on their own individual game. That's what their mandate is, to make sure the game comes off the best it can be.
I think people sitting around the league in Columbus or wherever envision a bunch of guys in striped shirts sitting here making the call. You assist the officials with making the right calls.
That's all we are. We're just here to assist the officials, and only really on goals to make sure they're scored legally. And we have very tight criteria. We've kept it that way. I think it's good. We've had lots of debates about coaches' challenges and goalie interference and those type of plays, and I'm sure we're going to continue to debate it, but right now we're not allowed to weigh in that area. So we stick to the kicks, the high sticks, did the puck cross the line, did it hit an official, those type of things.
And again, to assist, the official will call, as you were just explaining, did this happen? Was the goal off the moorings early? That type of thing, right?
Well, the game is so fast now, a lot of times, even with our 2 referees and 2 linesmen, plays are missed. We changed the net that is 4 inches less, so pucks hit the back bar and come out very quickly now. A lot of times the naked eye can't see it. So we're here to catch those plays, to make sure those goals don't get missed. And the referees over the years have learned to accept us and to lean on us and to get help from us, because they want to get it right too. They're out there doing their best to get the game right. They want to make sure goals aren't wrong and don't end up wrong. So that's what we're here for.
Does it get intense in here, or is it always just laid? It's pretty laid back atmosphere.
Well, right now, before we start, we have a big night tonight. We have a lot of games, and come about 9 o'clock, it'll be very quiet in here. Just a lot of work being done, a lot of attention paid to the details of each game. Up front here, if there's reviews happening, it does get tense because we want to make sure we get the right call. We know that one team's not going to be happy and one team's probably going to be happy. It's always the way, but we got to make sure it's right. If it's right, then I think everybody can settle for that.
Yeah. On that topic, I imagine everybody in the league thinks that you're out to get them, right? Oh, those guys in Toronto, right?
Well, I think at one point that's possible, but I think now they know we're here and that we're here to benefit the game. We're here to benefit the goals that are scored. We're here to benefit all teams. So I think in the end that everybody realizes that.
That is Mike Murphy, the NHL's, let me get his title right. He is the Vice President of Hockey Operations for the National Hockey League. And that last thing that Dave was talking to him about people that think that Toronto just screws them over all the time. He told me, he and I had a discussion last night. He said, it's been a tough year for you guys. He said, it seems like every call that comes up here when it involves you guys is going against you. He said, it's how it works for some teams sometimes. It's just like, it seems like every time it comes in, it's going against them. He said Nashville, on the other hand, everything that is being reviewed in their games is going in their favor. So there's a lot of people getting mad that they're not getting the breaks when they're playing against Nashville, which the Blue Jackets know very well because Pecorine knocked that net off a couple of weeks ago, and he got the call, and Nick Foligno's goal was waved off. So, he said that it just kind of goes in cycles, and it's very easy to believe. And if you thought about it with a rational mind, you would believe that. But right now you're saying, they're just screwing us over, so don't worry about it. There was one call. Of all that time we were there last night, there was only one call that could have potentially been reviewed. And this was good insight, and I'm glad that we saw this. So, again, it was Capitals Flyers. Flyers were on the power play. They're really pushing and crashing the net on Washington. And there's a puck that Braden Holtby stops, and it's underneath his pad, and the pad gets jammed over the goal line with the puck underneath it. Again, Kay Whitmore is watching that game, and the moment the puck goes in, he yells, "This is no good, Murph." Puck was under the pad. Pad got pushed into the net immediately. So Mike gets on the microphone that connects the Situation Room with the arena. So he's calling the Wells Fargo Center, and he told them flat, this was the conversation. He gets the guy on there and he says, "We have this is not a good goal because the puck was under the pad got pushed over the line. So we have it as not a good call, or we have it as not a good goal, but the call is theirs," meaning that the officials get to make the decision because the officials hadn't made that decision. The celebration was going on. The puck was in the net. All of that was true. But now the officials are huddling. You can see them on the screen. They're huddling. And basically saying it's their call. Now, if they would have said it's a good goal, then maybe I guess then maybe they call there and they say hold up the game and bring them over and then look at it again. They didn't need to look at it again there. They knew. And they were right. But here was the best part. The officials huddled and they got it right. And they never had to come to the Situation Room. They made the call on the ice. They called it no goal. for the very reason that was stated. The puck was under the pad. It was frozen. And then the pad got pushed over the line. No goal. So there is cooperation. As Mike just said, they are there in support. If it had been called wrong, then you could change it because they've seen it. But the guys on the ice got it right, even at full speed. They huddled, they talked, they got it right. So again, it was an enlightening experience. It really was. Now here are some of the tweets I got after I went there, because I tweeted out that I was there. So these are pretty funny, and this is how jaded that you get over the whole deal. Ian Dennis says, "We know how the goals are reviewed. The answer is poorly." Okay. Jason Russell says, "Where is the magic 8-ball that they use to screw the Blue Jackets?" Jordan Sampson says, "Where's the dartboard for making decisions? Is that over on the right?" And finally, Dan, excuse me, Dan says, "I've always imagined a goal." I'll tell you what, the cold weather, I can't wait to get back home and quit being in and out all the time. Dan says, "I've always imagined a goal, no goal wheel of fate, and then a separate one for the Blue Jackets that's entirely no goal." So, again. Here's the one from Emily. It says, "This is the room all calls in favor of the Blue Jackets die because they hate the Blue Jackets." Don Kitzmiller also told me, "Don't sink to their level." Zach Snyder said, "Slip them a 20 from the Blue Jackets." Well, there are a lot more of these than I thought. Z. Burns said, "Observing how games are botched and Columbus is screwed, you mean, right?" Ben Mazzaro says, "Are they going to show you exactly how they always screw over the Blue Jackets?" So, again, hey, those guys up there have thick skin, you know? They know that there's a lot of people that don't like them. They don't care. It's their job. They're just doing their job. And when I'm complaining about the way they do their job, I'm just doing my job. So we're all working. We're all working in the same direction. Maybe, one's taking a longer avenue than the other one, or whatever you want to say. But it was fun. It really was. And I'd like to thank Mike Murphy and his guys for letting us come in there on a game night and observe and ask a ton of questions. And it was a really good experience because you get a chance to see how they come up with their ideas. And some of the Fox guys that went, Brian Filippetti, who directs the telecast, one of the things that he was talking about is how quickly would they like to see the replays come up on the screen. So from the Fox Sports Ohio standpoint, maybe you can get them a replay a little bit faster and speed up that process a little bit more, just to get the whole thing looked at and waste less time with the referee standing over at the scores table. Just a lot of things. So, again, I know you don't want to hear it. You think that I've totally betrayed you and all that stuff, and now I love these guys, and I think that they're never going to screw the Blue Jackets over again. And I didn't say that, because if I said it, I would have to believe it. And there will be times where I will feel that they didn't do their job well. And if they could get my feed, there would probably be times that they wouldn't think that I do my job well either. So, again, two-way street. We're all big boys. We can all handle it. Blue Jackets Maple Leafs tonight, wrapping up this 4-game road trip for the Blue Jackets, a chance to go 3-1. Don't just think that the Blue Jackets show up and they win tonight. Don't think that, because that's not going to be the case. They're going to take on a Toronto team who went through all that turmoil earlier in the week with Randy Carlyle being fired. Peter Horchuk has now taken over the team. They did lose. They got pounded by the Capitals 2 nights ago. They had a practice yesterday, a little bit more chance to breathe, get your coach, know who your coach is, all that stuff. So I think they'll be better structured tonight. I think there'll be that urgency of having to get something done right away with the coach getting fired is gone. And they tried too hard in many cases. I think Phil Kessel was trying to shut everybody up by playing harder and having more things good happen, and all he did was screwed up his own game and made more bad things happen. So I think he'll be better tonight. I think the Maple Leafs are going to be better tonight. It depends on how good the Blue Jackets are, whether they win or not. One of the weaknesses of the Toronto Maple Leafs is their defensemen. under pressure. So if the Blue Jackets forecheck the way that they can and the way that their system is built for them to do, that's where they could have their success tonight, putting pressure on the defense, forcing turnovers, forcing bad decisions by the Toronto Maple Leafs. That would be number one. That should be the first priority tonight, pressure. Pressure in their building, pressure them. And speaking of their building, the Blue Jackets came here and got a pretty big win last year over the Maple Leafs. So that's what's going to be the key. There wasn't a lot of help last night. I mean, when you look at the wild card standings now, Boston has jumped up into one of those wild card spots. The Leafs have fallen out, and the Bruins win again yesterday. The Capitals-Flyers game winds up being a 3-point game, goes to overtime before it ends. So you can't look at other teams for help. You've got to take care of what you can take care of, and that's why the Blue Jackets have to go out and execute tonight, very simply. Gleno has a question. This is a good question, actually. I don't have the answer for you, but it's a good question. It says, curious, what's the cannon firing etiquette during All-Star Weekend? Because you can't shoot that thing on every goal for both teams, right? Maybe you can. I don't know. I'll have to find out what the etiquette is going to be. But that's going to be a lot of booms. I mean, it could be 20 or more. So that's a great question. Something for me to look into when we get back home. CBJ or Die says, now that the season is approaching the halfway mark, what road trip has been the best and worst experience-wise? What road trip has been the best and worst experience-wise? If this one finishes 3-1, this will be the best one. Because, and I'm assuming that you're talking about for the team. There was that California trip earlier in the year, and it looked like it was going to be great with a win in San Jose, and then it went south. So, yeah, we went south to Southern California, and that was the end of that trip. But this one has the potential to be one that you look back on. If you could finish this one 3-1 before you come back home and have a back-to-back situation with the Islanders in on Saturday, tomorrow, that is. If you can come out of this 3-1 and build coming into that home game, this would probably be. I'm going to lean on this one right now. I really am. This is the one I'm going to lean on because there were again November and there were dark days, really dark days. In December, there was the Florida trip. That was a good one. It was only 2 games though, but that was the 55-shot, 52-save performance by Sergei Bobrovsky in Florida. Then going into Tampa and beating the Lightning on their home ice. That was good, but this one has potential, especially starting with a 6-2 loss in Arizona. This one has potential. So, and I'm very anxious and eager to see how the potential plays out tonight for the Blue Jackets in finishing this thing up. I think it'll be a good game tonight. I hope it'll be a good game tonight. And yesterday the Blue Jackets practiced, and they had. It's another day for Cam Atkinson to get more treatment on his shoulder and to take regular shifts during practice. It's another day for Mark Letestu now to get over the soreness from the travel day, soreness from not playing for 28 games and then getting in there and playing against the Dallas Stars. And then you get that day to travel. And I'm sure he was sore because that's, he's coming back from an injury. He's trying to get himself all physically where he needs to be. So they gave him a down day for that, and then a practice day. Those are all good days. All those off days, and with off days I mean with no games, all those days are good days because that's one more day for somebody else to either get back in the lineup or somebody to get more healthy that just returned to the lineup. So those are good days, and hopefully those good days will lead to a very good day here today, before going home to play the Islanders tomorrow. A couple of big days here. This trip has been really nice and staggered. This is, in the time that I've been here, this is probably one of the best road trips from the fact that the way you were able to travel. You played it back-to-back to start it, but we went out to Arizona early to get acclimated to the time change. So you got a chance to settle in, back-to-back, stayed over after the game in Colorado. Didn't have to fly right after the game to Dallas. That was great. So that gave you the breathing room to go out, get a bite to eat, relax, sleep, get up, fly to Dallas, practice the next day, Stayed after the game in Dallas. Again, that was nice. It allows you to come here on Wednesday, have that day as a travel day, day of rest, Thursday, good practice, Friday game, Saturday game. So this trip has been really, really well planned out. It's been great. Like when you do this all the time and you're always leaving after a game to go to the next place and getting in at 3 and 4 in the morning, that stinks, to be honest with you. So when you get a chance to stagger it, like this trip has been, I think it's made it easier on everybody. And hopefully the players respond by going out and just doing tomorrow or tonight. Well, they need to do it tomorrow too. They need to come out tonight and do what they did against Dallas on Tuesday. Very simply. Just and maybe tighten it up a little bit. But pressure. To me, pressure is the word of the night. If they can get pressure tonight, they can get 2 points. If they can get 2 points, they can get closer in the playoff race. If they can get closer in the playoff race, maybe they can potentially close the gap before it's all said and done. And wouldn't that be something? Again, if even near Thanksgiving, if I would have said to you the Blue Jackets will be a game over 500 by the second week in January, would you take it? Heck yeah, you'd take it. That's where they are. And now they'll try to get 2 more points tonight here in Toronto. 7 o'clock game time. You can hear it with me on the Blue Jackets Radio Network coming up later tonight. Talk to you then.
Talk